किधर है वो लोग? Okay, we'll start off. Let's not waste time. Guys, thanks for joining in. I think we have 40 people. उसका मतलब है most of the branch heads and RFMs, I'm assuming, are there. PLBD as usual is late. I don't know why. So soon. 4 o'clock means 4 o'clock. Okay. The reason I'm doing this webinar, guys, is because I get a lot of questions around a lot of areas. Some of you have purani understanding about what regulations are. Some of you don't understand why we are asking for what we are asking. Some of you think that, audits and inspections में ये चीज हमें नहीं पूछनी चाहिए. What if the sub broker takes offense, वगैरह वगैरह. So my idea was, because unfortunately right now we don't have a compliance officer and we are getting into the last quarter when we might have to do one, several inspections, and two, right now I'm told that BSE and NSE are both busy shortlisting brokers for sudden inspections, surprise inspections. In the last 1 month, 24 of our brokers have been subject to off-site inspections, and I think 4 brokers have been subject to on-site inspections. And as of now, it seems that we are going to fail in each and every one of them, which means that our RFMs, our branch heads, and of course, the PP head doesn't seem to be aware of what is to be done. So it is important that all of us first understand what is the expectation, so that when we go and meet sub-brokers, we are very clear in terms of what the compliance requirements are, what BSE is indicating, etc., etc. So this is an effort on my side to bring together several recent developments so that you understand what circulars mean and what you're expected to do. Now, why is basically SEBI doing all this? SEBI's intention is that they want each intermediary, each member to be absolutely compliant with its expectations, and therefore there's been a large series of circulars, including pledging, peak margin, AP related circulars, pre-trade related circulars. All of this is to ensure that the health of capital markets is maintained. Each employee of an intermediary and each sub-broker or AP of an intermediary is automatically governed by the master circular issued by the broker. So which means what? You cannot turn around and say, I was not aware, I was not trained, I didn't know. All of that completely becomes irrelevant. The minute you are working in the brokerage industry, you are governed by the master circular. Okay. The latest market circular was issued in August 24. Now, why are we having these problems? नहीं, वो यहाँ पे ऐसे visible है, Zoom पे normal visible. So one of the key, remember that when we migrated from the sub-broker to the authorized person definition, I think 2011 or 12 or something, there's a major change in the contract. Sub-brokers were supposed to be a third party and they were governed by SEBI directly, right? Authorized persons, on the other hand, are actually seen as agents of the member. So which means any action done by the authorized person, we are automatically as members responsible, like we are responsible for our employees. Therefore, everything that applies to employees or everything that applies to your operating branch similarly applies to an authorized person. Only the commercial arrangement between the two is different. Otherwise, he or she as an AP is exactly like an employee of the member. Which means what? Whatever we do when we select employees, a similar activity has to be carried out vis-a-vis such partners. So for example, when you select an employee, you are looking not only for the employee to say yes to working with you, you also are looking to see whether the employee is suitable to work at your place. Similarly, you have to actually evaluate the suitability of the AP. The minute the AP says, I'm okay, give me a form, I'll become an AP, we become very happy, but actually that is not what is expected. Suitability of the AP to your business is extremely important. I still see a lot of proposals coming to me where the person is actually a part-timer of some kind, working somewhere, has no interest, has 2-5 customers. That's all, he wants to do with you, and we become very happy because he says, okay, and then we come with a proposal for an 80-85% sharing and zero security deposit. All of this is exactly the opposite of what we should be doing. like we do ref checks for our employees, the regulations expect each sub-broker or each AP to have gone through an in-person verification process. So which means if you have an AP who is sitting a long distance away and he agrees to become your partner and you're handling everything via email, etc., you don't even know the premises from which he is operating, what he's doing in those premises, etc., that is not acceptable. The regulations insist on an in-person verification. If you read the line here at the top, trading members are hereby advised to, this is an August 24 circular, trading members are hereby advised to perform enhanced due diligence. Why they are using the word enhanced? Because some of these words were not appearing earlier in earlier circulars. by means of an in-person verification, site visits, validating PAN, conducting background checks, ensuring that obviously they are not part of SEBI debarred list, and any other activity as deemed fit. In informal circulars, they have asked the members, why did you not go and check what the person was doing? What all kind of businesses was he carrying out from the premises? Why did you not check with the existing clients on what his reputation in the local market, etc. was? So imagine from a situation where we become very happy and try to finish the AP agreement in 2 minutes, actually we should take some time off, do a proper background check, and only then push the sub-broker for activation at Prabhudas Theatre. And note another word, a continual monitoring process should be in place. So which means it's not when you onboard, you are expected to, as a trading member, have a continual monitoring of what's happening in the premises. Some of these things I shall cover later. As RFMs, today, like I said, we do not have the habit of actually making visits, actually meeting our sub-brokers. I'm sure some of you don't even know your sub-brokers very well. In a couple of branch head cases recently when I was talking, they didn't even realize that they had a sub-broker named XYZ. And when I asked a question, they said, let me check and come back. This is extremely surprising given that most of you have hardly 15, 20 sub-brokers operating under you. And if you have not conducted any visits, you have not conducted any training sessions, you have not met them in their premises, it's actually very shocking. Of course, you are expected to do not only visits, but do regular visits, because that is when you will come to know what all happens inside the premises, including some of them may have put up posters, some of them may have put up banners, some of them may have multiple operating terminals, God knows what all might be going inside. If any of these premises become subject to any third-party surprise inspection, there will be severe consequences on both, obviously, the member's reputation locally, but now with a new policy which will come into force at PL very soon, even on you as an employee. Again, to repeat, even the latest circular says that trading members shall be held responsible and accountable, and in that, they've also put not only unauthorized trading, but also any kind of price or volume manipulation efforts being done by the sub-broker. So be very careful. Unless you are actually sitting at the premises or actually doing studies of what kind of trading patterns he has, you will not be able to know this. So as a senior RFM or a branch head, you are expected to do much more than just looking at the income MIS and saying, why is he not opening accounts? I am only quoting from circulars which have been issued in the last 1 year to show you the urgency as well as the recency. So in one of the latest circulars, which came out in August 23, I think, or June 23, and which has been subsequently updated in November 2024. Members are also, so if you read point number 3 in between, members are also hereby notified that they shall be mandatorily required to report any incidents observed by them, which means there need not be any complaint from any customer just because you were sitting there and or somebody called you or somebody informed you or you saw a social media advertisement or the sub-broker accidentally told you, whichever way, the minute you become aware that there are any assured return schemes or any unauthorized schemes being operated by the AP, you have a deadline of 2 days of reporting to the exchanges that you have become aware. And the members have also been advised to take additional measures, including filing of a police complaint. Note that there is no mention of a client complaint in this entire paragraph. It says, if you become aware that there are such schemes operating, you shall be filing a local police complaint upon noticing such incidents. Not only that, obviously the members have to go to all the clients and take whatever clarifications they require. Some of you are under the illusion that any action, etc., should be initiated only when there are complaints. Please read this paragraph very carefully. Your awareness as an RFM, as an employee of Prabhudas Leeladhar, of any such schemes being operated means that you are at risk. And when I said you, I specifically looked at a human being sitting next to me. Again, in one of the recent circulars, members, employees are responsible for ensuring awareness via lots of things, including they've issued a circular which says your employees are essentially going to have to scan social media to identify if the subbroker is doing anything beyond what he has taken exchange approvals for, including even offering loans against securities or mutual funds. Note that the attempt here is that members have to be fully aware of what is happening inside the subbroker premises. What I don't understand is, right from top to bottom, if we don't visit subbrokers and if we don't report such instances, we are in total non-compliance. Please note this. Any advertisement of any kind by the subbroker on any media has to be mandatorily approved by exchanges. Please note this. This includes even his own personal Facebook page. He cannot say that this is my personal Facebook page and therefore I will do what I want. Sorry, not allowed. We are currently in the middle of a case where some subbroker has dealt with some clients and there's an ongoing, we have been in fact issued a warning with a large penalty applicable. Any authorized person is not allowed to exchange any funds or securities between his account and those of his clients. When I say this, what I mean is, what do I mean by bank account? I mean, you have to, as Prabhudas Leeladhar, you have the right to ask him for all the statements across all his bank accounts, all his demat statements, including and excluding Prabhudas Leeladhar. You are supposed to, as a member, audit whether there are any unauthorized transfers of securities or funds, irrespective of why he's doing so. So, for example, in one of the cases that we have right now, it seemed that we were debiting the customer interest and he was from his bank account paying back interest to the client. He was actually paying the client. Even this is a violation. There has to be no exchange of funds and securities. There cannot be any words like profit sharing, etc. There cannot be any transfer of funds between. And by the way, when you're visiting the subbroker, you should ask whether or not you're allowed to, I don't know. But when the compliance officer or inspectors from PL will visit or the exchanges will visit, they will demand that within a certain time frame, typically 24 hours, all the statements related to all his accounts, and he has to sign a declaration that this is all he has, will be studied in detail and a notice issued if required to the member. And the member then has to go around fighting for whatever he wants to say or do. One of the guidelines, if you read below 32.5.1, the authorized person shall receive any and all remuneration basically only from the stockbroker. He has no authority to charge the customers for any other services other than stockbroking services within the guidelines set by SEBI, maximum brokerage, etc. And obviously the tariff sheet. Beyond that, the authorized person is not allowed to charge anything else to the end customer. Quite a few of our sub-brokers had to be shut down at the beginning of this year, which showed that in certain regions especially, that the entire focus has been just on opening APs, but not collecting deposits, not visiting them, not promoting any business, etc. And then suddenly we had to shut down almost 500, 600, or I don't know, about 700 odd APs. Please do not allow activation of such APs. You as RFMs, the senior guys like branch heads and zonal heads, are expected to ensure that any partner that we bring on board is a serious partner and not some part-timer. Part-timers will be automatically weeded out because there are several guidelines. Apart from the compliance risk that we carry, there are guidelines around the activity levels of such partners, and every 6 months you're supposed to be actually weeding out partners who have not done a single trade. Even where if there is trading, then there's a high probability that such partners would come under, because once in 2 years, every single partner has to be physically audited. So if not this year, next year they would come under audit. All of this increasing will be done physically, which means somebody has to actually board a flight or go physically do the inspection. In quite a few cases, the expense involved in actually doing the inspection will be far higher than the revenue generated from such partners. So please stay away from opening up a shop if you don't believe that the person is capable of doing business with you. Dealing with third parties. This is one more area which earlier was not there. In the last couple of circulars from NSE, this word has come in, which means that if your customer has given you any kind of authorization with a third party saying, research fees and investment advisory fees, etc., or such a party is sitting in the same office, like we had a case in Calcutta, and I think last week Nirmal Bang has been penalized for this, where the same set of people who were operating the AP business were also operating an unofficial investment advisory business, right? And charging customers fees. All the existing customers of the broker, in some form or the other, were also being incentivized to tie up with such an investment advisory firm, and I think they were charging them 3,000 rupees per annum or something. All of this is a complete violation and subject to huge penalties. So when you visit the premises of a partner, you're actually supposed to ensure that there is no other business being operated, whether by the same people or by others, which is directed at the broking members' customer base. Any unregistered business is banned. NSE has released detailed guidelines to internal auditors in August 24. And all of these guidelines will now increasingly put us at risk because certain things which were earlier seen as ideal to do have become mandatory. I will read out each of these so you understand what all may go into such an inspection. So statement number 1, of course, examination of the books of account during the inspection period to identify any clients not registered with the trading member, which means if the member's AP is making payments, collecting payments, doing any kind of stock transfers to people from his own accounts to people who are not registered as clients with Prabhudas Yadav, this may come under audit and question because it is seen as either a profit share on an unauthorized business or some other dabba trading which is going on but which is not justifiable. Dabba trading is a legal offense, criminal offense. There is no movement of funds, so the AP will be asked and then his statements will be studied that there is no movement of funds and securities between the clients and the AP for any reason. If any anomalies are found, there are severe consequences. The inspection team will ask for all DMAT statements, bank accounts of the AP, and of course ask for a declaration from the AP that all such account details have been disclosed. All of this, by the way, is not just what the inspectors will do. The guideline is that whenever the member conducts an audit, a similar series of steps has to be taken by the member and reported back to the exchanges every quarter. There has to be a check on whether there are any fixed payments at regular intervals to the clients mapped to the AP. All of the clients' ledgers actually are supposed to be studied by the member to identify any fixed periodic payments being made. We do not currently have a process, but the inspections in the last month have asked for detailed, like I said, 24 partners. All those ledgers have been reported. All client ledgers have been given to the exchanges and they are studying those ledgers and they'll come back to us with whatever happens. There cannot be any cash deposits between the clients and the AP. In one of our cases, we have found that clients were depositing actual cash balances in the broker's account. This is the same case where a large penalty is proposed to be levied on Prabhudas Lilladher. The AP is not involved in any fund-based activities or collecting deposits in any form or offering any schemes or promising to do profitable trading or, aap dekh lena, paisa kama ke do kind of schemes being run. Of course, illegal dabba paper trading is not allowed. The AP is not dealing with any unregistered intermediary using our banner outside. The AP is not involved in accepting deposits of any kind. The AP is not offering any incentives. So, for example, 300 rupees I'll give you if you open an account, or gift voucher I'll give you, etc., is not allowed. So, please do not come for such approvals. I didn't realize that this is not allowed. It is actually not allowed. You're not supposed to offer incentives to clients to trade with you. AP has, you have to check whether AP has sought any authorization to trade on behalf of clients. Trading on behalf of clients who are not related to the AP, even when they are related to the AP, it's under question. But when not related to the AP, is illegal and banned. Advertisements cannot be issued without written approvals from the exchanges. AP terminals cannot be, the place and the operator cannot be different from what has been reported to the exchanges and what exists at the exchange as of last evening, because that is what the inspection teams will check. Trading terminals can only be operated by the approved and certified user. What does approved and certified user mean? The person to whom the terminal has been issued. If Sandeep has been issued terminal A and he is using terminal B, which was issued to Vikas Ved, it is equally illegal. I can only operate the terminal on which I have been given the certified user login credentials. Adequate systems, including voice recording, have been put into place, have to be verified by the inspectors and by our employees. This is necessary as per all the circulars in the last 8 months, right from August onwards. Trading members must ensure that APs who do not have trading terminals assigned to them cannot place trades on behalf of the trading member stands. I'm sorry, but I could not understand what this statement means, so I'll not want to interpret it. But what it essentially means is that such people who do not have any trading rights should not be given any kind of right to put in any kind of trade. But I'll leave it this. I'm not very clear what the statement is trying to say.
फोन पे सौदा लेके ब्रांच में डलवा देंगे,
वो तो anyway illegal
तो
है,
वही है वो.
possible. But even otherwise you can't do it. But you're right. I mean, that is what I said.
Subbrooker can't give order instruction.
So anyway he can't give. So why without terminal? But understood. So we leave it at that point. Is anyway pre-trade you cannot accept third-party orders. Documents like contract notes, etc., are not generated and issued by the AP. This is extremely vital. When you go and see that there are printers lying and printouts lying, please feel free to pick up those printouts to identify whether any fake contract notes are being generated, fake ledgers are being generated, any kind of quotes have been given to customers, because this could be indicative of some kind of a dabba trading practice also, apart from the fact that the AP might be fudging information. If you have any suspicion around client trading patterns, please report it proactively before the inspectors visit there. You have to actually verify that the AP has the necessary infrastructure like office space, equipment, manpower to actually render services like an AP. You cannot have a person roaming around with a laptop saying, I'll become your AP and do 2 lakhs a month. Which is the kind of proposal I get at times. Trading member, all the information related to the trading member has to be adequately displayed. All of this is compliance approved information. There is no getting away from that. Even if he operates from his home, he has to still display the information. There is no getting around this. Whatever exists as an AP registered office has to display grievance, has to display SEBI certificates, has to display all NISM certifications, etc., whatever the compliance guidelines are, even in his house premises, whether he has a trading terminal or not. This is the other confusion. Sir, he was not, because one of the branches actually messed up, because of which MCX is actually penalizing us 5 lakh rupees. And the branch will soon hear how we will be debiting the branch head actually for this, where random responses were given saying he does not apply, he does not have a trading terminal, so none of this is required to be presented there, without even bothering to check with compliance whether it is mandatory or not. Having a trading terminal or not having a trading terminal has nothing to do with him representing himself as a Prabhudas Leather AP office. The minute you become an office, all the certifications have to go up. Any changes in the AP's contact details, sometimes we take this very, very lightly, that he's sitting in X and registered in Y, has to be reported within 24 hours to the exchanges. Please make sure that your APs know this. Even if there's temporary renovation going on, quite a few of the cases that I'm looking at, renovation was going on, so for 3 months he was away, etc., is not allowed. The minute he changes his location, you have to inform the exchanges that the new registration address is such and such.
And client also needs to be.
And clients also need to be given a notice adequately. Finally, the AP's mobile number and email ID cannot be mapped to any of the clients in the UCC database. All of these are basic minimum checks that the NSE auditors will do. Of course, it's not as easy because all of this takes about 48 hours to do. But when you as RFMs or branch heads are visiting the premises, please carry a copy of this circular. Please carry a copy of this presentation, etc. if you require.
This 14 point, this is not concerning his own account, right? उसका खुद का account client करेगा. Suppose I'm a sub broker, I've opened my personal account. So I am also a client in my AP.
That is okay. Personal is
okay.
fine. Yes.
And related, if he has taken thing,
Family, immediate family only is allowed.
Not immediate family in what?
Authorized authority letter अगर लिया हुआ है, is it allowed?
मतलब, so that we have to check. This we are not compliant on this part. We have to check this.
No, wherever status is spouse, immediate children, dependent parents, it is allowed. Other than that,
Only
dependent. Other than that, it is not allowed. Full stop.
So this check.
There's no check. This is it.
Oh, but I'm saying to run a diagnostic check on a parent.
Exchanges keep sending us. So G28. Amit is मेरा? हाँ, उसका आया है सवेरे मेरे. 6-7 UCC is found. Correct, Swapna? Anyway, so when you're visiting the premises as RFMs, branch heads or zonal heads, and when you become aware, and I know of a certain couple of people in this call right now who think it's a joke. It's not a joke. Please don't take it lightly because such things can go out of control and you cannot imagine the consequences of creating proxy email IDs on Gmail and Yahoo and then teaching people how to do this and ensure that pre-trade confirmations are adequately given. Please note that it doesn't take too much time to figure this out, and once it's figured out, it can actually become a very, very bad issue beyond SEBI. In a couple of cases, we found that even though we were aware that the underlying clients had no knowledge of stock markets, we allowed the sub-broker to go around, issuing or allowing whatever, intermediating the creation of Aadhaar cards and PAN cards and all that with the limited purpose of actually doing trading and earning money. Please note that this can land you in serious trouble. So if you think that somebody is deliberately encouraging creation of KYC details from individuals who have no idea what's going to happen to their money, it's almost bordering on criminal. It may actually become a criminal offense if something goes wrong.
सर इसमें फॉर एग्जांपल कोई बोल रहा है कि मेरे वाइफ के नाम पे लेना है.
That is okay.
नहीं मतलब
कोई
मोबाइल नंबर डालता है.
हाँ मतलब कोई एपी है जो दूसरे ब्रोकर के पास एसोसिएट है बट अभी बोले मेरे को पीएन में लेना है.
That is okay. That is okay. Once you become an AP and you are competent to do the business and you follow all these guidelines, we don't have a problem.
लेकिन
But then follow compliance.
रिलेशनशिप तो दिख रहा है ना उसके पास में 2 रिलेशनशिप्स फैमिली के अंदर 2 जगह बिजनेस है.
So what? That is allowed. Under different PAN, you can do different places. That is not a problem.
प्रॉमिस उसको अलग दिखाना पड़ेगा.
नहीं, I'll come to that. Premises also can be the same. I'll come to that.
अच्छा उसको डिफरेंस
Segregation.
And is should be different. And
Okay, now I'll just quickly touch upon pre-trade related confusion because then I'll go back to some of the recent cases that have happened so that you understand the implications. First of all, a lot of people have kept coming back despite this circular which Subramaniam, right from Subramaniam's time, has been sent. Vikas Ved was made responsible for ensuring that voice loggers, Lexus voice recorders are installed at every location. There were at least 2 rounds of activities on this area and repeated circulars by Snehal, etc., all the compliance officers. Still there is confusion. So let me clarify what the statements are. So first of all, the unauthorized trading circular clearly states all brokers are allowed to execute trades only after keeping evidence of the client placing this order. What does that mean? First of all, the client should have placed the order. And second, you can place the order only after you have retained the evidence. What is the evidence? There's a physical record signed by the client. There's a telephone recording of what's called a pre-trade recording. There's an email from the authorized or registered email ID, which is available in our KYC records. There's a record of messages through mobile phones and any other legally verifiable record. As a member, you cannot execute any trade without making sure that all of this is in place.
तो SMS and WhatsApp ये सब
Hypothetically allowed, but SEBI has been informally saying don't allow that because there is no way to prove tomorrow. Some of you keep coming back saying, you know, it's okay, we will do post-trade confirmations, etc. The regulation is very clear that in exceptional cases such as technical failure, only post-trade may be taken into account upon merit of the same. However, this means that when there was a technical failure at Prabhudas Leather, we should have informed the exchanges. Till about November of last year, all the arbitrations, whatever cases went to arbitration, were taking a neutral stance. In all the recent arbitrations from last year, there is no neutral stance. The officer is only asking for simple pre-trade confirmation proof. If it is absent, you lose the case. As simple as that. Okay. So I hope this statement is clear, and this statement has existed right from March 2018. So it's not something new. It's a 6-year-old circular. And you, me, Prabhudas Leather, all the trading members are supposed to have ensured this. This is the first mail that Subramaniam had sent, and right from then, multiple mails have been sent that all of you are responsible for ensuring that voice recorders, pre-related order placement, etc., is all implemented. So what has changed? Why are we around pre-trade? Why is there so much noise? So earlier, such records were being asked only when there were arbitrations or when there were, police cases or disputes between trading members and conciliation hearings were happening. But in the last 6 months, especially after the August 24 circular, all the surprise inspection, again and again I keep saying it, all the surprise inspections, the inspectors are on the spot interviewing and asking for pre-trade order placement proofs locally. That is number one. In quite a few cases, including our own, we are not in a position to actually generate this. The trading member in the August 24 circular has been directed to ensure that all of these recordings are available at the head office of the trading member. That is a new requirement which was not there earlier. And when there are inspections or audits at Prabhudas Leather head office, like for example, the last one we did with MCX, where all of you seem to have generated the pre-trade confirmations on hard copies, MCX informally warned us very clearly that this is the last time they will allow this. If they ask for pre-trade order proofs in the last 6 months, for any broker, for any client combination, we are supposed to be in a position to present this immediately. So pre-recording infrastructure is now mandatory from a member trading point of view. And this is the circular that had come, the first circular, which said that, which actually defined what an unauthorized trade means. So an unauthorized trade does not mean, as you guys understand, to be a trade where the customer lost money and therefore he's filing a dispute. The definition of an unauthorized trade is not providing pre-order placement evidence for trades of the clients when sought. Which means, whether or not there's a dispute, when I ask you to present this evidence, if you're not in a position to present this, it is termed as an unauthorized trade by the exchanges. And therefore, all the clauses related to unauthorized trading apply in that case. So please note this very carefully. Unauthorized trade does not mean a loss-making trade, disputed trade, etc. If you can't produce the evidence of the order placement, pre-trade order placement, it is deemed to be an unauthorized trade. So post 2018, all the APs have been repeatedly asked. There were 2 or 3 exercises. Some of you did, some of you didn't do. But all the APs are supposed to ensure that there is some kind of pre-trade placement proof available, which includes visitor register, which have to be mandatorily signed, hard voice recorders, which they have sourced from Prabhudas Leather or otherwise, or their own cell phones, which should have had recording facilities, etc. Prabhudas Leather also offered Nexus voice recorders, where I think twice or thrice Vikas Ved's team must have done an exercise. Something happened. And any email, WhatsApp or SMS backups by law have to be preserved for 5 years. So all the backups should be available wherever the subbroker says that, I've got all the pre-trade confirmation, etc., etc. You have to make sure that all of this has a backup at his premises as well as Prabhudas Leather premises. How Prabhudas Leather, I'll just tell you in a minute or so. We have just recently launched the cloud-based SIMs, which is the Airtel SIMs. Earlier we tried with Vodafone. This is an additional tool made available because now it is our urgency to also ensure that the evidence of pre-trade order placement is available at PLHO. We cannot wait for sub-brokers to send us this information in hard copies or randomly. That is why we offer cloud-based SIMs. So besides convenience, we also automatically can within 24 hours come to know what orders are termed as unauthorized trades and then seek appropriate remedies for that. RFMs who are not pushing this are actually creating severe non-compliance. What will come up very soon? A compliance dashboard where reports will auto-populate on trades which are termed as non-compliant trades. The data is being gathered here right from October, November onwards. The APs are of course expected to upload proofs within 48 hours of trade. Deviations will result in brokerage halting, salary halting, incentive halting, etc. All of this is non-negotiable. Formats for visitors register, visitor pre-trade confirmation, etc. have already been circulated by email. To help you further on what the sub-broker should be trained on, we have also circulated a pre-trade script, what the dealer should talk to the customer about. And the MOUs have been modified to ensure that they also incorporate voice recording as necessary infrastructure at the AP premises. And terminals should not be activated until such infrastructure has been put into place. We've also sent out some, graphics, etc., which will hopefully create awareness, and we'll keep regularly sending this out every Friday. Authority letters, there have been a lot of queries by some of you. So let me clarify. There is nothing called an authority letter as far as the exchanges or SEBI is concerned. It has only become as a market practice, and in some cases, the arbitrators, if it was an arbitration, and adjudicating officer, if it was an inspection, have taken this slightly liberally. They have allowed the sub-broker or the AP or the member to present such authority letters. However, even in that case, the authority letters are only for the immediate family. The definition of the immediate family is very clear. It should be the current spouse. If there is a divorce between husband and wife, even then you cannot use the authority letter because that person becomes of independent means. You cannot use the authority letter for your children who are independent. You can only use it for dependent children. You can only use it for dependent parents. Other than these three categories, so far in all the literature, there is doubt, and therefore we should not collect any authority letters from any other category other than these three. In fact, in a couple of cases that we saw, the AP placed orders on behalf of his wife. So the left side, Meghna Jatin Bhanushali. I think this is a Nirmal Bang case, Parag. The order was placed by the dealer in his wife's account. He had the authority letter which he presented. Nirmal Bang was still fined 2 lakh rupees, saying that having the authority letter was not enough. He should have physically signed the deal sheet at the end of the day, saying in this client account, I did the trades based on the authority letter. So which means it's not that you gave the authority letter once and your job is done. You still have to continually present the authority letter and get the deal sheet signed by the end customer. How some of these cases can actually become issues. So these are all cases from the last 3 months alone. I have not taken any case before, I think, November 2024. These are all latest cases. So in one of the AP's cases, complaint register was not, so the only violations are the violations which are written here. Complaint register was not maintained. AP did not basically display any certificates, etc. Notice board was not available. The only other thing was that there was a side business. I think I've forgotten what the side business, some small time side business was being carried on by the sub-broker, nothing to do with stock markets. However, on entering the office, the inspectors could not make out which part of the office was the broker and which part of the office was the other business, which is not allowed. You have to have your office completely segregated, which means whatever is the AP business has to be simply distinct. The employees have to be distinct. The entrance has to be distinct. The posters, notices, etc. This side and that side have to be completely separate, right? It's called segregation. So there was inadequate segregation, and this was a very, very small sub-broker. In fact, I think Nirmal Bang also said that the revenue itself was hardly 1 lakh rupees or something like that. And yet, Nirmal Bang was fined a 7 lakh rupee penalty for this PP. Okay, this is one example. The other example,
ये
sorry,
ये केस आगरा का है क्या?
I don't know. इतना detail में याद नहीं. The other case,
तो
there was an AP's office where 2 or 3 of the terminals were operating from some other location. The person sitting in front of the terminal was somebody else, and one person was using the online trading credentials of some customers. Okay. ICICI Securities, I think this case is, yes, ICICI Securities. Just, I think 3 sub-brokers or 5 sub-brokers. I think 3 sub-brokers. This is a December case. ICICI Securities was fined 40 lakh rupees. Okay. Another case. I think this was LKP or somebody, where the member generated a pre-trade order confirmation slip after the inspection was done. The details in the slip were basically trade details, forcibly, I think, signed by the customer, etc. Basically, they tried to produce the evidence. The customer actually made money. It was a profitable customer. Customer had no dispute with the broker. Rupees 4 lakh penalty levied.
ऑर्डर डिटेल ने ट्रेड डिटेल दिया है.
Yeah. The only additional thing here they said was that in the pre-trade confirmation slips, you should have captured timestamps, even though it is not mandatory. We are not insisting on it, but in this case, they said that the customer should have signed the timestamp that I gave the order at 12:28. The order executed after 12:28. None of this was present, obviously, and therefore, rupees 4 lakh penalty.
टाइम स्टैम्प मैंडेटरी है.
नहीं, नहीं,
डेज में टाइम का
नहीं.
नहीं ऑर्डर स्लिप में है.
It is up to us to do the.
वो अपन लिबर्टी ले लेंगे उसमें अंदर ऐसा ये मैनिपुलेट कर सकते
We should have
होना
it.
चाहिए.
One important clarification, because some of you called up saying that NISM is not required. So why is there a violation? NISM and approved user are 2 different concepts. Cash segment does not require NISM, does not mean that you can operate whatever you want to operate. Correct? If you're an approved user, you have to be an approved user, full stop. Which means you have to follow all the regulations. When in one case where the penalty will come very, very soon, one of our oldest partners, the inspector asked him a simple question: why is there nobody sitting on this terminal? The person said, she's gone for lunch, she'll be back in 15 minutes. The next question the inspector asked another dealer sitting right next to that terminal was, can you please log in this terminal for me? Our dealer went across and logged in, and the minute he logged in, the inspector said, observation issued. Why did you know this other person's username and password? No approved person's username and password should be known to anybody else, employees, APs, or otherwise. As simple as that. Satish, in all the cases that are coming to the exchanges, mostly the adjudicating officer is mentioning the same case again and again, that it is irrelevant whether somebody lost money, it is irrelevant whether you are innocent, it was an innocent violation, etc., etc. Only a little loss was caused, or it was in spirit and nothing has happened, all that nonsense that a member might say. SEBI has been summarily rejecting all this, saying that intention is completely irrelevant. Contravention, if you do a contravention, there is a penalty, full stop. Of course, such penalties, if levied on Prabhudas other, will be appropriately passed on to the relevant RFMs. Of course, in each case, the PP head and the AP is concerned. Just so that you are clear, if you are operating the terminal at an unidentified location, which is not registered with the exchanges, 0.25%, which is 25 paisa, which is, I think, 2 times higher than most of you charge for your delivery trades. For all the volume, including intraday, that happens from such premises, will be penalized at 0.25% of the traded value. Please remember this. It's a very expensive mistake. Some of you have been, coming back saying, can we levy lower deposits? Should we not collect deposits, etc., etc. In the urge to meet our KRAs, instead of doing harder work of meeting more people and bringing in 1 or 2 PPs, we go and meet 2, 3 PPs and try to then bring 1 PP. Is not going to work. That equation doesn't work anymore. I'm sorry, I'm being rude, but you should see the amount of cases that are piling up against us now. So when somebody commits higher brokerage and you come back very excitedly saying he's going to do an amazing job and give me 80-20 and 85-15 and all that. So then why are you not collecting higher deposits? Number one. Number two, some of the PPs say, boss, why do you need deposits? I don't ask for ad hoc limits. And I've twice mailed about it, but I think maybe you've not understood. So I'm clarifying. Earlier, when they asked for limits, the risk manager had the ability to assess, judge, and make a mistake. But that was all. You could lose 10 lakhs, 50 lakhs, 1 crore, whatever. But now, and maybe that will happen once in 3 years or 4 years, right? Now, every single day when our office opens somewhere in India, there is a risk of 4 to 10 lakhs of a penalty because there's going to be a sudden inspection. During the day, whatever business you do, margin shortages, I asked for ad hoc limits, I forgot to, update the check, or the check bounced, etc., or the client did not honor the commitment. If you've done an allocation, you do not honor commitment, it is equivalent to false allocation, which is 100% of the shortage, for example. Of course, there are criminal cases, there are arbitrations, auditors will now physically travel even from Prabhudas Yadav. All of this results in much, much, much higher expenses than we used to have earlier. So actually the need for deposits is much higher today than it was maybe 3 years ago. Because 3 years ago, it was only ad hoc limits. Now there are multiple risks facing the trading member. So please ask for deposits. So in summary, guys, when we defined our KRAs this year, at the beginning we had said that we want, and each KRA had this very clearly mentioned, that we want the branch and zonal head specifically, because all of you have direct PPs of your own, and RFMs, where RFMs have PPs, should mandatorily visit all their sub-brokers at least once in 6 months. I don't think most of you are doing that. When you don't do that, you are causing all the risks that I just talked about. Some of you are still in the habit of appointing PPs randomly. Every time you're doing that, you're causing potentially not only a financial liability, but a huge reputational risk. For example, I messaged some of you that one of our PPs is on the run right now. Okay, and there are authorities looking for him. So imagine the reputation in the local market, not only his reputation, but our own reputation that has gone for a toss. When you guys celebrate that this PP has suddenly become a platinum PP and a gold PP and earlier it was nothing, etc., etc. The first thing also that should, while you should be happy, the first thing that should also come to your mind is one, was the client a dormant account? Was there a jump in a dormant account? Risky. Is there some specific trading activity going on in a limited list of scripts? Risky. Suddenly, has he activated a new segment and 2-3 customers who had never done these trades earlier have suddenly become very active in those segments? Risky. So please get into details. Don't just feel happy. It's okay to feel happy. But first, as an officer of PL, analyze what is causing the jump in business, and actually you should visit him ideally. If such a PP has actually done well, you should be on his premises to not only congratulate him, but also to understand what is causing this. Is it genuine business development, or is it something that he's doing which may expose us to substantial risk in the future? Obviously, if you don't visit, we have all these issues apart from lack of knowledge and low productivity. If all of you do not focus on these things, even one single inspection penalty can in most cases wipe out the entire earnings from such a PP over a year or 2 years in quite a few cases. Please take deposits and please entertain your PPs to do as much online trading as possible, because that is the easiest way to not have compliance issues during inspections. Thank you. Now, if you guys have any questions, you're free to write them in the chat box and I will do my best. I am of course not a compliance guy,
Everyone.
but I've been forced to write.
I have two questions.
Okay,
First is,
my head of PP registration desk has two questions. Yes, please go ahead.
first is, should we start taking bank as a mandatory statement? एक साल का statement तो अपने
100% last 6 months bank statement mandatory.
mandatory कर दे,
Please make it mandatory.
ठीक है. Secondly, FNO के जो accounts आते हैं, which I spoke to Hemant also, and we had surveillance का issue also in that. 0 से 5 लाख के बीच का रेंज सबका आता है मैक्सिमम, क्योंकि हमने इमीडिएट स्टॉप करना चाहिए. FNO should be allowed only after 5 lakh to 10 lakh and above का रेंज के ऊपर क्लाइंट्स का.
Okay, I will suspend this because this is about trading permission. This is a big topic in itself. We'll discuss it separately. Not here.
Done. एक तो ये 2 पॉइंट लिख लिया.
Yeah,
Bank statement, and not only that, we should have a questionnaire which the sub-broker will have to fill up, sign, and give it back to us, which will be a list of negative confirmations for all the things that the inspector asks us, the 24 statements. Do you run any assured return schemes, etc., etc. That will evolve over the next few days, but at least 6-month bank statement is mandatory.
Sir, one thing I want to say is,
Can we give PP co-working space? Mohan is asking. Yes, I saw a legal case recently. I think it's Jan 24, I mean Jan 25 only, 10-15 days ago. You guys can search for these cases yourselves. Just write adjudicating officer, whatever, member, and you'll find many such cases. The co-working space by itself is not an issue as long as there is a separate agreement. In this case, there were 3 or 4 different authorized persons or different trading members, but sitting in the same co-working space. So there was some confusion. But I remember that towards the end, they said that you had to maintain segregation. So which means client registers. In this case, they had a common office boy who was, I think, collecting checks or doing something. So which means they could not have used the common office boy. They could not have used the same computers. They had to have separate agreements. If all of this you are maintaining, then there is no issue in co-working spaces being used more. Yeah, Vikas.
sir, see, any AP, we are at risk of inspection. So what I suggest is that whichever APs which are without terminal and without a proper infrastructure, we immediately move them as DRS, which is allowed by the exchange, thereby reducing our AP risk ka, audit ka risk. Secondly, whichever APs are with terminals, that are the relevant APs, that is around 470 odd APs and plus around 150 that we would have got today with deposits and terminals. We will create, I will sit with the compliance team and we will create 3-4 minimum things that are required. They will be audited, they will be validated by the MAP RM, physically visited, and also by the sub-broker. So that we are clear as of now, जो अपने पास अभी जो APs है, how do I confirm that I am at maximum compliance with the key points that could attack us?
So the first thing that you should do is what Swapnil said. John Bosco had done those audits. You
Yeah,
guys
those audits, sir.
list. First is whatever happened after October or November. Run through the list jointly. Identify all the PPs who have responded. What have they responded to? Okay, so that we maintain it as a record because the PPs themselves submitted this information. Number 2, what you just said, which means you should have a visit calendar where PPs give you this information.
So there are 2-3 points I'm saying.
Hmm.
One is that all the PPs which are without deposits, which are not.
That's what I understood. I don't have an answer. I don't have an answer.
Deregistered.
I don't have an answer for that right now. Deregistering is a shortcut.
But one second.
But why don't you actually visit?
It's not point of visiting them. I'm saying these are people who are not having a proper office. They are operating from home, but they are AP and they can be visited by the exchange because they are the AP. And we are at risk for those people. So-
उन्होंने 2,000-2,500 लाइसेंस फीस दिया, मतलब उन्होंने फीस दिया
वो
है.
2,500 रुपए दे रहे हैं क्योंकि उनको उतना इनकम आ रहा है, बट वो
So-
कंप्लायंस है वो कोई नहीं देख पा रहा है. मैं क्या बोल रहा हूँ, आज एक्सचेंज में जब
Please.
DRA का अपने पास में ऑप्शन है और वो लोग ऑफिस नहीं ले सकते, वो लोग
ठीक
सिर्फ
है.
बेस लाके दे सकते हैं, तो उनको अपन एपी बोल के रिस्क क्यों लेगा? लेट अस फोकस ऑन ओनली, लेट अस हैव अ पॉलिसी दैट ओनली द सीरियस एपीज विद डिपॉजिट, टर्मिनल, ऑफिस, टीम, उनको हम लोग एपी बनाते हैं. अभी जो ऐसे जो रेलेवेंट हमारे पास एपीज है 470 या 500 एपीज है, उनके लिए हम लोग पीपी से एक फ्रेश डिक्लेरेशन लेंगे, आरएम से डिक्लेरेशन लेंगे विजिट के साथ में, और जब भी हमारे 3-4 जो मेन पॉइंट्स हैं जब वो टिक होंगे तभी वो कंटिन्यू करने देंगे, वरना ये तो टाइम बॉम्ब है.
No, but at least if you understood it's a time bomb, if all of you guys swear to ensure that you'll be much more responsible, I think at least that job is done. You cannot have PPs calling up head office in a state of confusion and saying this we should not do. If you ask me for bank statements, I will shut down. Please let him shut down.
So
Right.
bank statements.
So all of that,
But-
all of that. I'm just giving examples. Bank statement is mandatory.
I agree. What I'm saying is something different.
Hmm.
I am saying that by doing this presentation, we have made people aware that we are at risk. But there needs to be a lot of further, pushing to ensure compliance at the ground level.
Correct.
There won't nothing change beyond this. People have been, aware, but nothing changes at the ground level.
Correct.
So to initiate the second and third point, what I'm saying is in the next coming 3 to 4 days,
Hmm.
the relevant sub-brokers with deposits and terminals,
Hmm.
they have to mandatorily give us a declaration that they are following these 5 points which are critical by us. These sub-brokers are visited by the MAP parents.
So why don't you coordinate the RFMs? That's what I was saying, that the audits which were done with John Bosco
Those
should
audits,
have had these questions.
yeah, but those audits were done from a sense of just complying with the document. They were not
Run through
letter and
that.
spirit nahi tha.
Then we go into step 2. But most important is if you become aware, then the first thing you should do is pre-trade confirmations. If anybody has not applied for a SIM card, not ready from November or December, with all the necessary recordings, what I've been asking for, the RFM has to sit in his premises and very ensure that, otherwise suspend his
Correct.
termination.
So as
So things like that,
Hmm.
if you start deploying, because now it's been 3.5 months that I've been communicating this, pre-trade confirmation, going to his office and seeing whether the certificate's put up or not. These are the basic mandatory things, right?
so
These two things that you can do sitting from here, no?
तो सर मैं वही बोल रहा हूँ कि वी हैव बिन जहाँ पे आ रहा है हम लोग भेज रहे हैं ला रहे हैं कर रहे हैं राइट आई एम सेइंग वी नीड टू हैव अ स्टेटस एज ऑफ नाउ बिकॉज़
I don't want status, I want action. Status ka what will I do? So you go PP by PP, RFM by RFM, branch head by branch head. Wherever you doubt that the sub-broker is not in line, please feel free to suspend or terminate the sub-broker. You cannot have a situation where I'll come back to you, sir, he's busy, sir, he's traveling abroad, sir, next week I will do, sir. All of that, please stop, because I don't know where the next 20 inspections will be.
मतलब planned exercise करने का अपने को
Ah,
structured.
So I need to talk to Weber and Swapnil for this
what?
for
No, you're RFM.
linking the sub-brokers which according to me just
Ajay
carry
Pandav,
AP risk without terminals.
that like I said, shutting down sub-brokers because you perceive risk, first of all, has to be a feedback from the actual person concerned on the ground, number one. Number two, when you are shutting down, I would like to know why you are shutting down.
I'm not
I
shutting down.
cannot shut down 300 PP
I'm
just
not
because we
shutting
felt
down.
like it.
I'm saying we convert them as a referral agent.
So that is shutting down. As far as I am concerned, that is shutting down in exchanges. I am now going from an authorized status
Actually,
to a guy who's going to be unauthorized. 2 months later, a circular comes back saying we are going back to same stage. Why do I want to deal with unauthorized people? I want to deal with APs who are responsible for this. But just because Zerodha has put pressure on the SEBI authorities doesn't mean that I have to compromise. No. Discount brokers were asking people like DRAs to become APs, which became difficult. So they went back saying it's an online trading model. In an online trading model, even an unauthorized person has no access to the username password. So please allow me as a discount broker to run a referral model. So the exchanges said, okay, understood. Maybe I'm confusing offline and online. So I'm putting that old circular in abeyance. Does not mean that they're saying, go ahead and do as much as you want unauthorized business offline. Please understand the spirit. Sir, if an AP, Amitabh, if an AP is on higher sharing, say 50-50 or more, as per earlier introducer concept, and not having any terminal, can branch put the, yes, branches, any employee of Prabhudas Leadhar can put the client trades in the terminal, but you become responsible for pre-trade confirmation. Whoever is putting the order in is responsible for the pre-trade confirmation.
And it
You
has to be
cannot take the order
triggered by
from the-
client. It has to be triggered by the client.
Exactly. You cannot take the order from the sub-broker or any other unauthorized person. And not only that, even if it's the client, you have to confirm that it is the client. You have to know that the call is from the registered number and then place the order. Yeah.
तो डीलर को पहले चेक करना पड़ेगा रजिस्ट्रेशन नंबर.
Yeah. Dealers should check whether the call has originated from, or email has originated from, or a WhatsApp has originated from the registered KYC email IDs / cell numbers.
सबसे बड़ा प्रॉब्लम क्या है कि डीलर लोग को पहले तो क्लैरिटी नहीं मालूम है मेल है कि फीमेल है. फीमेल का अकाउंट में मेल के आवाज में सौदा लिया है, ऐसा भी है. तो वो थोड़ा एक चेक रखना पड़ेगा स्टार्ट से.
Questions, guys?
सर कोई एपी आ रहा है, न्यू बैंक अकाउंट है और उसका ट्रांजेक्शन ही नहीं है कुछ. या कब
Brand new bank account, if is open, it is okay. You ask for the statement along with the date of account.
नहीं तो उसके बाद 6 महीने बाद वापस मांगेंगे अपन
Regularly मांगेंगे.
कंप्लेंट का रिक्वायरमेंट डालना उसको मांगेंगे 6 महीने.
और सर एक अपन जब कोड देते हैं तो उसके बाद उसके एड्रेस पे कोई डिस्प्ले मतलब डिस्पैच नहीं करते तो अपना
क्या डिस्पैच नहीं करते?
एड्रेस का वेरिफिकेशन बोल रहा हूँ.
फॉर एग्जांपल अपन वेलकम
हार्ड कॉपी.
यस तो अपने को पता कैसे चलेगा कि जब हम कुछ
हार्ड
भेजेंगे
कॉपी है ना अपना.
नहीं अपन कुछ भेजेंगे अभी आरएफ में बोलेगा हाँ ओके अपन को
आईपीवी किया ना उसने फिजिकल जाके. फिजिकल
नहीं आईपीवी का होता है फिजिकल.
No, you have to ensure. So one of the changes. Please do not open. If it's a Facebook lead, please go and send somebody to Agartala. It cannot be opened offline. I mean online. You have to go and physically verify that the person exists, that that branch exists.
अगर वो ऑनलाइन
Not only that, take photos.
नहीं सर, अगर वो ऑनलाइन नहीं करेगा धंधा, वो ऑनलाइन धंधा करेगा.
So
आईपीवी हो
पूछ
सकता
रहा
है.
हूँ, just
the minute he becomes an authorized person, that shop is your shop. How clients trade is irrelevant. Suppose I put up your board, suppose outside, Prabhudas Riazar, online gaming, double trading for free. Would you allow that? He's doing it because he's an authorized person. It says authorized person of Prabhudas Riazar Private Limited. Don't you want to go and see what he's communicating? Zero trading going on. Zero business actually going on. Zero clients also logged in. Just because he's put your board, you're supposed to be there physically, collect photographs. A lot of brokers in a lot of cases actually produce photographs and all that, which to some extent help. But then in a couple of cases, one main broker out of Malad lied about the photography and SEBI said that we know that you're very smart. Please don't screw around with this.
विदाउट आईपी मतलब
No, can we do video IPV for people like digital way far?
अभी शॉप की बात की ना, बोर्ड तेरा लग रहा है उधर.
Physical means physical.
तो मींस पहला
How can take, sorry,
मींस पहला कोड क्रिएशन से पहले बंदा जाएगा आईपीवी करने सारे डॉक्यूमेंट्स
absolutely.
तो अभी
Without physical verification, no opening. अभी होता है ना, कॉल सेंटर से कॉल आया, विकास के पास गया,
Yes.
ईमेल कर
What
दिया,
we can do is-
स्कैन कर भेज दिया.
What
Please
we
stop
can
doing
do is-
this.
आईपीवी कर दिया.
What we can do is, we can collect the fees, okay? We can do everything, but we will not register with the exchange till the physical verification is done. In the name of compliance, we should not kill the business.
और उस पीरियड में कुछ हो गया तो
हाँ.
Yeah, we can return the fees
No,
back.
that is okay. That is okay.
नहीं
We
सर,
can return
Fine.
the fees.
Take the fees, take the commitment. Don't open the.
Register
Of course,
with the exchange.
do not register with exchanges till physical IPV is done. लिख ले.
You know, when you have to start
ब्रांच
this
कोड
one
ब्रांच
account,
कोड इशू होएगा उसको.
issue होगा, register नहीं हो रहा है ना.
उसके अंदर क्लाइंट इंट्रोड्यूस होंगे.
अरे भाई
अरे
क्लाइंट
दूसरा-
इंट्रोड्यूस होंगे, वो हम
दूसरा-
डायरेक्ट में मैप कर लेंगे, रजिस्टर नहीं करेंगे.
ब्रांच कोड ओपन हो गया.
ब्रांच कोड करेंगे, रजिस्टर
जाओ
नहीं
ना.
करेंगे.
तो जाओ ना. Physically go.
धंधा तो बनने का नहीं, तो देगा ही नहीं कोई.
अरे धंधा बंद करने की बात क्या है? Your job is to ensure that somebody is
But
visiting.
physical verification may take time, ना.
No, why should it take time? 48 hours, 72 hours,
Suppose अभी अमित रमन
96 hours.
अमित रमन का केस लेते हैं.
नहीं, but मेरे को किसी का केस नहीं लेना.
But
That
it
is the
is
way.
what's practical, boss.
It is practical.
No, it's not practical.
Everywhere in India is connected. There are 2,700 towns and cities where trains and planes are connected. Please go.
Sir, what I'm trying to say is,
Right now is the forum. We are not deciding guidelines right now.
the point is that after
They are not making any point except bank statements are mandatory.
bank statements are mandatory, I am not disputing that.
That's all.
All I'm saying is, कि physical verification, you said IPV physical verification होना चाहिए, right? We will do the physical verification. But suppose मैंने deposit, documents, MOU.
As long as you not become an AP in the exchanges, you can do whatever you want.
सुन ले,
क्लियर कर लो भाई।
Swapnil, we can create the code as long
As long as AP is not registered.
Actually, उसमें एक अपना
प्रॉब्लम है सर
So we'll discuss that. That's what I'm saying. Right now, why are we wasting everybody's time?
एक्चुअली कैसा है सर, वीकली हम लोगों को एपी के क्लाइंट
रिपोर्ट करना पड़ेगा।
Report करेंगे. अभी AP है नहीं
पर
हो.
वो AP नहीं है ना,
तो ब्रांच करके नहीं है
Direct
कोड है जो कोड खुला है वो ब्रांच करके नहीं
Branch करके खुला है. I'm saying, why are we discussing it now?
वो टेक्निकल बात
It is not AP client reporting. This is direct client reporting. Are you doing any direct client reporting?
No.
No. But matter over, no. So, but we'll discuss it later. How can take confirmation in case of NRI as time gap is there? No. So NRI is actually easier because NRI communication will be either on WhatsApp or on email. Number one. Number two, slightly the risk may be lower because the NRI is issuing a payment on gross basis. So which means if he has authorized the bank to debit the account for such a trade, it is actually moving in your favor. However, time gap or otherwise, if you are punching an order, pre-trade confirmation in some form has to be there. Full stop. See, please note, it's like bank tellers. A banker cannot be sitting in your local branch and saying, today my wife wants to buy a TV, so let me dip into, Vinay Chola's bank account, tomorrow morning I'll return the money to him. It's the same, right? You cannot dip into somebody's ledger and use it for trading. Means he has to give in advance? Yes. Pre-trade confirmation means in advance. 1 minute in advance or 24 hours in advance. It's the same. Before the trade goes through.
or you can do online, no? NRI can trade online.
Okay, guys. Rajni, other RFMs, branch heads, I'm surprised. Branch heads are quiet. All of you have sub-brokers mapped to you.
एनआरआई वाला एक चीज जस्ट दिमाग में आया था जैसे मार्केट के अंदर वो लोग क्योंकि वो लॉग इन नहीं कर सकते टर्मिनल्स के लिए बाहर से इंटरनेशनली तो कैन वी क्रिएट अ विंडो फॉर देम वेयर बाय वी कैन कलेक्ट एन ऑर्डर्स व्हिच कैन बी टेकन एज अ ऑर्डर बुक बिफोर ओनली सो दैट अपना ब्रांच वाला बोलेगा कल सर अपने को निफ्टी अच्छा लग रहा है ये लग रहा है वो तो ऑर्डर कम से कम ऑर्डर तो कलेक्ट हो जाएंगे अपने
So what do I do? I
So
didn't
that
understand.
orders can be collected by branch people ना
Means what?
जैसा अभी निफ्टी में कल ट्रेड मारना है रेगुलर ट्रेड करने वाले हैं
They can collect in advance in any way that they want. It can be a mass mailer also as far as I am concerned. Whoever says okay, please remember, informing the client, by the way, valid point from a different way.
वो ऑर्डर में देयर आर मैंडेटरी थिंग्स जब तक वो 4-5 चीजें मैंडेटरी मेंशन नहीं होती ऑर्डर कंसीडर नहीं होगा प्राइस होगा
I am saying
क्वांटिटी
how the client says okay to your order, pre-trade, what all should be there, we have already said. Which means order, quantity, type of order, which exchange, which script, everything has to be given.
एंड प्राइस रेंज
That is this format that I showed, right?
तो ये वाला एक फॉर्म ही हम लोग ऐसा बनवा लें so that NRIs can place an order in the night whenever so that
Place an order where?
branch in the window we give them a site पे ना
No, but nahi, that
NRI can
is
enter
what,
at his time.
at this time whenever you want
why can't you do it online?
sir
Number one,
Send them-
aftermarket order he can do, no. But the point is, the instruction has to come from the client in some form. It should capture all of these details which we have repeatedly told, and now everybody should note this. Please ensure that the order comes only in this format. He can send an email. We don't need to create online forms, etc. That is all not required.
तो IT में भी डेवलपमेंट में नहीं होगा.
No, but that is all not required. He has an online trading platform or he can write an email. But what I was going to say was, some of you are also once a while, I think, checking with me. I sent him a mail, then can I place an order? No. It is understood that he has to give you a confirmation in a positive way. Okay, please go ahead, do this, do that. Only when he gives you a confirmation, it is considered a pre-trade order
और
placement.
उसकी इंग्लिश में समझना जरूरी है
That's okay. Hindi में गुजराती में
All the people are online, right? Yeah. So as a custodian of the PP channel,
can take a mail from clients on daily basis that do any trade, whatever you want to do. Sir, this is the classic case which
Anyway,
will levy a penalty of at least 25 lakhs if you allow this. Do any trade, whatever you want to do. भाई तू जो ही ले, भाई तू एक्सपर्ट है मार्केट का, तेरे को अच्छा लगता है वो ले लेना, बेच देना. All of this is banned. What am I saying? When you take a pre-trade order confirmation, look at the left side of the screen. The script name, the exchange, the UCC, the order type, the quantity, price, limit or otherwise, has to come from the client. So do any trade, whatever you want to do, is obviously not allowed.
Sir, I wanted to tell you one thing and to tell everybody in this audience that as a sub-broker department person, for the people who are having sub-brokers mapped to them, if they do not take any onus or ownership of maintaining basic compliance, like for example, some person says कि an ex-employee introduced the sub-broker and I'm mapped as the servicer and I don't know what to do about it. If you are mapped as a servicer or introducer to that sub-broker, you have to take accountability. Or else demap that servicer or sub-broker from that mapping. So what I'm saying is, sir, that for getting this webinar to be, taking into the next step, the 3-4 steps that we will be doing from head office and what the map servicer or introducer would be doing urgently. And if those responses are not coming from that particular map servicer or that branch head for any XYZ reason, what is the repercussions? Because ultimately, yes, the buck stops at me as a sub-broker head, but then everybody has to collectively work to come to a compliance standard.
So we are releasing a policy. See, as of now, we had left it on subjective whims and fancies on the seriousness of a case, how much to debit, etc., the employee. We are releasing a policy where the RFM mapped, the branch head and the zonal head mapped, and you always will be subject to a penalty, depending on what the sub-broker has borne and what level of unawareness did the employee show. So, for example, suppose he had not put up notice boards and certificates, etc. Serious violation. First debit will be on the PP. Residual debit will be the RFM concerned.
What do you mean by residual?
Suppose, that's what the policy defines. Suppose the PP was carrying on a business of unauthorized trading rampantly. Then the entire penalty may be levied on the RFM concerned, including PP head. Depending on the seriousness, the entire escalation matrix is being defined, including in all cases the branch heads and the zonal heads concerned. It may even lead to termination of the employee concerned, depending on the seriousness of the issue, the income generated, and the risk that has been created. In one particular case, we are filing an FIR against one of our own employees.
So a more detailed discussion needs to be done since
So that policy
since the way the things are being credited is different,
Correct.
and the way the debits are there is everywhere.
Correct.
So you know what I mean. So the point is that we need to be very clear, and of course debit ke time pe hai, credit ke time pe nahi hai. So what I'm not shirking my responsibility. All I'm saying is that it can't just be there. There has to be a collective effort from all departments.
Absolutely.
Like for example, the RM concerned wrote a mail to the compliance team that send us the compliance certificates to be displayed. The compliance certificate were not sent or whatever.
that the employee gets a choice, chance to reflect. If the head office has not cooperated in something, then the head office is equal to blame. Of course.
Blame is
It's not as
different.
if it's an automated thing. Point is, we have to ensure full compliance. Number 2, do not hide information. Number 3, do not try to do partial interventions so that hide things which are beneficial. Please openly discuss with the AP that boss, forget everybody else in Prabhudas. I am your RFM. I will shut down your shop if I don't see this in the next 48 hours. Take that tone with your APs. The minute you guys start doing that, that is when you have become professional. Right now, the relationship is very one-sided. We are always on the defensive and the PP is as if doing a favor on us. Please don't do that. your business partners means responsibilities both sides.
So can we propose some kind of a maker and checker in this case, rather than just putting it like every time on the mapped RFM?
But I don't.
Can any X RFM, like for example, let Amit do a review of, let's say, Sachin's PPs. I'm just proposing something where there's a different RFM mapping a different subbroker's PPs. We have to see, ultimately we have to get our subbroker.
Sorry, I didn't understand. Sorry.
ऑडिट पर्पस से क्या बोल रहा है, नॉन बायस अप्रोच रहेगा, ट्रांसपेरेंसी ओपन रहेगी, ये अपना पीपी को तो कवर करेगा अपने हिसाब से. व्हाट ही इज ट्राइंग टू से, इफ आई एम करेक्ट, लेट साउथ वाला इसके पीपीस का स्क्रूटनी कर.
अच्छा, वो that all those are methodologies.
करेक्ट बोल रहे ना.
हाँ,
Those are not relevant.
सर ये एडिशनल ब्रांच का
Additional branch का, what is the question? Ask.
ब्रांच है.
As long as all the branches are registered with the exchanges, no issue.
वो तो एड्रेस प्रूफ ही देना पड़ता है ना. और
इंटरनल ऑडिटर
नहीं कॉन्टेक्ट
जाना ही चाहिए.
एड्रेस प्रूफ कॉन्टेक्ट
Internal auditors will have to be physically dispatched.
हो जाएगा पीपी को.
I know. No, we'll dispatch. It's a huge expense, but it will have to be done. Yeah. And all the fees will be debited to the PPs. Mandatory.
एडिशनल ब्रांच में भी सब सर्टिफिकेट.
Sorry, I forgot one thing. According to the exchanges, what are the, Renuka, as per the exchanges, what is the yearly number of audits to be done by the member? The conditions are: one, if the person is in the top 50% in terms of brokerage or volume, then you have to do once in 2 years. A minimum 50% of the base every year, number one, which means in 2 years you have to complete all of them. All your PPs have to be completed over a 2-year period. Within 1 year, top 50%. Next year, again the residual. Number two, if he is not in the top 50%, but he has more than 500 clients registered in his name. Number two, condition number two, even if he's not doing any income. Number three, if there are more than 3 complaints against that person during a financial year, he has to be mandatorily covered.
3 complaints.
Minimum 3 complaints. And complaints related to unauthorized trading, collective schemes, etc. And number 4, this could be anonymous complaints also. It does not say from existing clients. Okay. And number 4, wherever the trading member suspects some kind of activity based on his own due diligence. So which means you have to have teams which have a suspicion and therefore initiate the audit. All these 4 categories have to be audited once every year. Every 2 years, the entire sub-broker base should have been monitored. That is the current regulatory requirement.
और सर एक अपना लास्ट एक सर्कुलर था जिसमें नॉन ट्रेडेड एपी को आपने लास्ट टाइम भी बोला था कि विदाउट किसी को बताया डायरेक्ट इशू नोटिस कर देना इस कंपलसरी, क्योंकि वो डिस्कस करेगा, वो जवाब देंगे, कब देंगे.
हाँ.
6 महीना हो गया, तू नोटिस दे दे.
Correct. 100%.
हाँ, चलिए.
Fifth month end.
6 महीने हो गए नोटिस दे दे, मतलब
6 महीना नॉट ट्रेडेड.
5th month end, you have to give a notice
Yes.
to the branch person as well as the authorized person. 6th month end, terminate. They want to stop somebody, etc. Let them try and stop.
तेरे को डेट
You don't wait.
डेट को प्रोसेस होगा क्लोजिंग का.
5th month end, regularly every month end, your process should run. Amit, guys, any questions?
No, sir.
Okay, team. हाँ क्या?
इंट्राडे लॉस के लिए जैसे हम लोग T1 पे लिंक भेजते हैं, उनसे अगर ये जो 4 to 5 पॉइंटर्स है, मतलब स्क्रिप्ट नेम, डेट ऑफ ऑर्डर, ऐसा करके पहले ही दिन, मतलब ऑर्डर डालने से पहले शाम को एक मेल सभी क्लाइंट्स को ट्रेड जो करते हैं उनको चले गए तो PLHO से, एंड प्लीज मार्क द मेल टू कंसल्ट BM RM AP फॉर द ऑर्डर. तो अगर वो
But
फिलअप
why should I get involved?
नहीं, सिर्फ
I मतलब प्रभुदत्त जी.
मतलब सिर्फ मेल्स एक शेड्यूलर
Let them give mails.
तो
No, but why should no. Why should I?
Confirmation लेने के लिए
हाँ, प्री
Pre-order के
ऑर्डर
लिए.
टाइप ऑफ प्री
Pre-order.
ऑर्डर शाम को ही मेल
तो
चले.
एक ही ऑर्डर आएगा ना फिर.
हाँ, जो कुछ है
फर्स्ट एक ही ऑर्डर आएगा, अगर उसमें भी तो ऐसा करेगा, ऑर्डर एक ही आएगा ना.
No, but
जो
एक minute. Why should I get involved in how the sub broker is collecting orders? Let him collect independent. Why should I give a format saying इस format में order भेजो वहां पे? Correct. Format is known, you communicate. See, I know that some of you are not asking questions. I'm sure all of you understand whatever I just said over the last 1.5 hours is slightly impractical. Correct? In all cases. Meaning, some customers actually don't give pre-trade. Very busy customers he has. He has HNI customers who don't talk, etc.
डॉक्टर
etc.
है
Huh?
डॉक्टर है
Doctors and ultra rich businessmen who are in America always. Okay. These kinds of people, it is impractical, etc. etc. So, two things I have to say. One, whether impractical or not, remember that this is the requirement and therefore this is the penalty. Number one. Number two, try and push them as much online as possible if they are very busy. And number three, please try and therefore get, so then your business model has to change, which means suppose you were doing F&O thinking that, you can do whatever you want in somebody's account. Please stop doing that. Please send a mail in the morning. Please take a broad range of limits. So for example, suppose I will place an order for any of the following scripts
between this range.
between this price range. And the customer says, okay, it is okay.
With 5% stop loss, 10% stop loss,
Whatever. It is okay. You did not specify the exact price. You can specify the ranges also.
And
You can also take
exit also 10%.
GTT.
Exit.
Entry and exit both. You can also take GTT orders from the customers, which means whenever the price reaches this limit, etc. So, I mean, I don't have a solution. The fact is, this is what the regulators want. And therefore, the regulators are going to pay. But more importantly, you might have 2 or 3 or 4 customers like this. But you cannot have a situation where 50-60% of your audience, you cannot produce pre-trade. I can understand if 1 or 2 cases, once in a while, are left out. Even in cases which are still left out, please ensure that you have collected adequate post-trade confirmations on recorded lines, right? So that the customer tomorrow does not say that I was actually not aware. Have a conversation. Remember that in all the arbitrations, brokers, the biggest brokers, and this is all in public domain, you guys can see it. What does the broker say? Member, one, we had told the AP, but the AP did not listen to us. So SEBI says, I don't care. Number 2, we sent him contract notes, we sent him DMR, we sent him instant trade SMS instantly after the order. He never complained. We sent him contract notes, he never complained. The arbitrator said, we don't care. Did he say okay to the trade or not? That's all the answer I want. Right? So any and all post-trade confirmations are completely irrelevant. Therefore, if you have a customer where for some funny reason you think that there's been a weakness, please ensure that at least once a day you've talked to the customer, even if it's post-trade, saying, these are the trades I executed in your account, so that, this is only for exceptions, I'm not saying this as a rule, so that at least you have a voice traded confirmation that the client was fully aware but never bothered to come back to you. If it becomes a dispute, SEBI doesn't care about that customer. SEBI will check only when you called him versus when his trade was placed. So you might still have a penalty. But 2-3% cases I can still understand, not 40% and 30%. Correct? Authority letter, like I clarified, some of you have been sending authorities for your neighbors, uncles, aunties, auntie's father-in-law, auntie's father-in-law's uncle and auntie. Not allowed. It's for your immediate family, and that too only the ones that are dependent on you, not otherwise. Kaushik, Shailja, you guys keep calling. No questions for public. You may ask for, like Vinay did. I'm sure he didn't mean to ask this for himself, but he was just trying to ensure that everybody is understood. Do you have any queries, or are you guys busy doing post-trade confirmations? Amitabh asked already. Rajni's team, Sachin's team,
Sachin's team is
अच्छा सर क्लाइंट से जो ईमेल आएगा
branch and zonal. Achha. Can we send a pre-trade SMS for confirmation from Odin? What does that mean? Again, let me repeat. This is not a question of technology. The question is, before doing the trade, did the customer send you something? Not what we send the customer. Technology can do whatever it wants. Technology can send the instant you pressed a trade, it can send an instant, but that is all after placement of trade. Even if you place the order, if it's a market order, it's the same as a trade. So for limit orders, maybe you can send, but that is not, that's just technology games. Exchanges are saying, give me pre-trade order confirmation from the client to PL, not vice versa. Not from Odin to client. It's from client to Odin. Sachin, you've raised your hand. You can write in the chat if you don't mind. Where is that?
अच्छा सर ये मेल कंफर्मेशन केस में
Hmm.
क्लाइंट जो मेल भेजेगा
Hmm.
कौन से मेल पे आना है सब
Sub-brokers registered email ID, clients registered email ID
नहीं वो क्लाइंट का तो समझ में आएगा रजिस्टर्ड ईमेल आईडी
of the sub-broker.
नहीं PTC का
नहीं 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 पीटीसी नहीं आउटलुक वाला
प्री कंफर्मेशन के बारे में
कौन सा मेल का बात कर रहे हो?
सब ब्रोकर का है जैसे A365 उसका एक आउटलुक मेल आईडी बनता है
AP
और एक
registered।
पर्सनल एक मिनट एक पर्सनल ईमेल आईडी जहाँ पे रजिस्टर्ड होता है तो वो दोनों चलेगा
दोनों चल.
एक्चुअली दोनों में डालना तो फायदा है एक जगह तो बैकअप
For NRI clients, how to do recording? WhatsApp message is valid. WhatsApp message, Sachin, for NRI clients. See, it's not about validity. It's about tomorrow if there's a case proving that it was the client. See, if the inspector visits you, he may check the phone, etc. But what if there's a case? So, most brokers are disallowing WhatsApps, etc. because there's no way to prove, there's nothing gets recorded. The client can always send an email. However, for current purposes, if WhatsApp messages are limited and used very, very rarely, you can take a screenshot with a clear DP image, with a clear name of the customer, time at which the message was sent, upload the screenshot in our compliance dashboard. Our compliance dashboard is running slightly late, but when it comes up, we will ask you to upload all the information right from January 1st. This should also be uploaded, but it is rare.
सर्टिफिकेट्स भी पीएफ टाइम्स में कहीं पे डल रहे हैं बिकॉज़ ऑल द टाइम यही प्रॉब्लम होता है मेरे पास सर्टिफिकेट ही नहीं है
Understood. We should.
के केस
So remember, Weber,
व्हाट्सएप के केस में नंबर नेम
Number cannot be visible.
नंबर नेम के अंदर नंबर
नहीं आता है
correct. But NRI में क्या है कि cross settle trade है, इसलिए if you settle the trade, the dispute gets settled. कि why did you not stop the banker? Or why did you not complain? Here you have a running balance.
अभी जो एनआर अपने इंटरडे वाला भी चलता है ना एनआर
हाँ, but the bank settles, no? I'm not saying it's not risky. I'm saying at least वहाँ पे there's a bank also involved and a contract note involved. More. What is more? Q&A.
व्हाट्सएप मत मार
Somebody is going to Q&A. Huh?
व्हाट्सएप को मार्केट मत कर व्हाट्सएप मत कर
WhatsApp should be minimum.
जीरो
से ना बोल रहा हूँ
इट शुड बी जीरो स्टेट
Trades for custodian clients. Kaushik, I am not worried about custodian clients, but in custodian clients, I'll be surprised if there is no order from the client. So I don't understand the question. I'm assuming that all custodian clients give you pre-trade instruction, then only you execute. If something else is happening, even then the risk is slightly low because it's a custodian settled trade. However, a pre-trade confirmation has to originate whether custodian or not, ideally. Do our call recording server have backup if cyber attack happens? Yes. Our call recording, there are two kinds of call recordings we are doing. The SIM recording that we are doing, that is why we have selected the SIM ideally because one, it's low cost and two, it's happening on the cloud. So it will not be get impacted by attack on PL servers. Number one. Number two, for our own servers, we have a backup. There's always a backup. So we are not too worried. So for example, we have recordings over the last 6-7 years. If you've not done some recordings, once the dashboard is up, if you run a search, for example, November 23, this client, the system will tell you that there's no recording available. Sir, WhatsApp screenshot also not available. WhatsApp screenshot, like I said, is exceptional cases only. It is not acceptable because there is no way to prove who the end customer is. Anybody can put up any image and pretend to be Sandeep Raichura. Therefore, it is not allowed. Exceptional cases, once in a while, if you are putting WhatsApp images, it is fine. If any PP required, we can give him what?
Yeah.
Whose laptop is this?
रिकॉर्डिंग
No, it depends on why he wants the recording. Hypothetically, yes, we can share the recording. Sir, for certificate, can we give samples? Yes. Weber, एक मेल ड्राफ्ट कर, जितने सर्टिफिकेट डिस्प्ले में होने चाहिए ना, उसका सैंपल मेल भाई आज
दिया हुआ पहले से
सर अभी भी दिया है, अभी सर को भेजा हुआ है मैंने।
सर कौन सर तो सो जाते हैं
अरे तू फॉरवर्ड कर देना
सारे सैंपल सर्टिफिकेट्स डूज डोंट्स व्हाटएवर सभी दिस सैंपल करके उसके ऊपर सैंपल ऐसे लिख के
वो तो ऑटोमेटिकली हो जाएगा
वो तो करेंगे कहाँ पे करें तुम कहाँ से
10 minutes, then
तो लाइन से भी लोड किया पर वहाँ पे कोई जाता नहीं जो भी करते वो भी करते क्वेश्चन बाय कौशिक मुखर्जी Therefore, I have addressed that. Recording, I have addressed that. Okay, there doesn't one more question.
मेरे को पहले मैपिंग लेना पड़ता है, then I will.
Okay, any more questions?
He has a question.
I have a question, sir. Incidentally अभी एक केस हुआ था.
एक हमें जोर से बोल
Incidentally अभी एक केस हुआ था. Herschel is there. I don't know what. तो मेरे को ये नहीं पता था कॉल एंड ट्रेड का क्या यहाँ पे मतलब है फैसिलिटीज. तो आई जस्ट क्लाइंट टोल्ड कॉल मी, एक ब्रोकर का क्लाइंट था, कॉल मी कि मुझे मेरे को ट्रेड करना है. ब्रोकर हैज नॉट टेकन एनी टर्मिनल्स. आई कॉल टू हर्षल, सर गिव देम नंबर कि आप हर्षल से बात करो. तो हर्षल टेल मी कि अब इसको मैपिंग करने में 10 मिनट टाइम लगेगा. तो वेट, तो मैं ये बोल रहा हूँ कल आप जैसे हम कोशिश करेंगे ज़्यादा नॉन टर्मिनल केसेस को अपने साथ रखें. बट इन केस 50 क्लाइंट अगर एक साथ कॉल करेगा, आई विल मैप टू हर्षल, कॉल उसको मैप
No, this means,
करो.
first of all, Harshal is not call and trade. Okay, so he is not equipped to become a call and trade.
Okay.
However, and plus we don't want him to actually do orders because he has no means of verifying who the end client is. Call and trade means what? He gets absolutely crystal clear information for all the customer calls coming in. Correct? And therefore mapping is not happening. Correct? If we believe that such a thing has to happen, then we'll have to equip him accordingly. आज की डेट में we give his number only for emergencies. He is not your call and trade.
हाँ वही मैं बोल रहा हूँ कि अगर ऐसा सिस्टम्स है, इतना पॉलिसीज है, तो हमको एक सेटअप बनाना पड़ेगा फॉर कॉल एंड.
हाँ पर यहाँ पे सेटअप नहीं होना चाहिए. The branches have that setup. अगर तेरे को ही सेटअप चाहिए because of your issue, but for example Rajni has a dealer, for example Parag has a dealer, for example I think everybody has a dealer. That is what they are there for.
Can we use
Head office, no, I don't know who you can use. I don't have answers, everything ready. What I'm saying is your first fallback is the branch dealer himself. Correct? Each branch has enough backup. Now, in your case, two reasons. One, you don't have a dealer, and two, you're in a place where, you know, Bombay is your only backup. इसलिए you're facing this issue, we will sort this.
और ये वाला जो प्रॉब्लम ये बोल रहे ना सर, अपना मीटिंग मेल्डिंग हो गया था, मैंने बोला ना, उन्होंने बोला कि लाइव यूजर क्रिएशन हो जाएगा.
Kambal,
हाँ हाँ
Kambal, yeah.
सर तो जो पहले हर्षल के पास सिस्टम था, कॉल आता है तो क्लाइंट कोड आता था, वैसा सिस्टम.
हाँ पर so that's what I'm saying. Our intention is not to make him a call and trade boss. Correct?
रिकॉर्डिंग पर्पस.
No, but I don't want calls to go to him except for emergencies. Because if we have to have a call and trade, then multiple things have to happen. For example, he has to ensure that he has also called back, given trade confirmation, etc. He is only doing limited set of clients.
वन क्वेश्चन मोर. अगर मेरा क्लाइंट, ठीक है, मैंने बोल रहा है, अब मैं डीलर रखा हूँ, ही इज इन एब्सेंट फॉर 3 days. हाउ आई डू व्हाट?
Have a second dealer or have a secondary branch helping you.
अगेन
Or-
आई कॉल टू हर्षल
Or
एंड 50
Harshal, like I'm saying, Harshal is not your dealer.
व्हाई
Full
वी आर
stop.
नॉट सेटअप इन, मतलब अपने यहाँ क्यों नहीं सेटअप कर रहे हैं हम लोग कॉल एंड ट्रेड?
For two reasons. One, Bombay does not want to do call and trade activities for April because that means the compliance pressure is on me. Then I will not give him 70% and 80% sharing. I'll give him 30% sharing.
Whatever the
Number one. Number two, he doesn't know the client. So he may not be able to, which means it becomes a full-time activity.
It's क्या बोल रहे हैं, it's not a outgoing calling, it's only incoming.
Incoming call में मेरे पास verification होना चाहिए ना भाई. If my systems allow me to verify the client foolproof, then I might be able to do that. But then it means that this setup is only doing those activities. Correct? Should we have a call and trade setup? Yes, maybe we can have a call and trade setup. Do we have a call and trade setup right now? No, we do not have a call. So I don't know why I put him on to you, etc., etc. That is wrong if you're doing that. Every branch, why are we hiring dealers? And why did we ask for dealers to be hired? Precisely for this reason.
तो अभी
If you have a technical failure, then it's okay. 1 day, 2 days I can manage, not as a permanent.
Also, his TT was going to take a turn. It was just a matter of.
That is different.
It's a matter of
1 or 2 days,
it's a matter
that is okay, that you can do. But in that case, so for example, Dilip, isn't he a backup for you?
He is.
So why did he not have, so then we find out, why did he not automatically have the master's map?
He's currently doing SCP and Mutha. So we
So
can give him additional.
we'll discuss. Admin अगर उनको terminal दिया है, master terminal दिया है, तो why was this code not?
हाँ, तो हर्षल का वो अलग प्रॉब्लम है।
इसको भी दिया है, उसको मास्टर एडमिन दिया है अगर, तो ऑटोमेटिक उसमें मैप होना चाहिए रहता है।
उसके पास SCP भी मैप नहीं है, not a map.
हर्षल क्या होता है?
His client, Kaushik is asking, his clients ask for rollovers of all the open positions. If client, no, the question is, if the client asks for rollovers, if the client asks for rollovers of all the open positions, when did he place the original trade? Number one. And number two, the trade verification could be as simple as rollover of all my existing quantities.
But different price आता है.
No, whatever. That point is, client should place an order giving you a specific instruction. Positions of many scripts, that's too bad, because positions of many scripts could mean a big loss also. Try and get as,
Crisp.
Kaushik, in your case, some of your clients are extremely large, so I can understand, but if the call has come from the registered number, if the client mentions specific things like, please roll over all my existing positions, post-trade, you have given him verbally recorded confirmation of all that was rolled over as a combination of all three. It is okay. Because even if the SEBI inspectors come, it's not as if they're out to somehow penalize you. They just want to ensure that you were,
Due diligence कर रहे हैं.
yeah, you were as diligent as possible. You were taking orders in recordings, and the right person was sitting opposite you when the instructions were being given. That's all. Same thing, square up. I mean, they say now, who placed the original order? Show me the order which originated when you squared up. So as long as that is there, whether it was Hiromoto or ACC, it really doesn't matter. Try and be as specific as you can, but otherwise it really doesn't. Validity of time of pre-trade confirmation over the mail. No. Validity means if the client has given you a pre-trade confirmation, theoretically it means for the same day. However, if the trade is not executed, you can of course execute it the next day and say that the trade order was given day before yesterday. That is fine. But you will have to upload this information in the dashboard when we ask you. It's not as if he gave you a buy order for ACC 2 years ago and for non-stop you are using only the same buy order year after year, month after month and week after week. Okay, thanks guys. I hope this was useful. I know that all of you understand what all weaknesses exist in your networks. Please ensure that these weaknesses are not in a position to impact us. I would suggest that all the senior guys, please have an honest and sincere discussion internally with your teams today before leaving for home. All of you must know what is happening. We expect you to be our eyes and ears. And also, in some cases, the APs may be doing it unconsciously. They don't realize that there's a lot of SEBI regulation around their F1 and F2. Please educate them. Please talk to them and train them on what it means to be compliant. Thank you and best of luck.
So this presentation, can you share in the groups? ELBD,